Hey friends, my name is Joey and welcome back to my channel, Gender Not Found. I just got back from the movies and my mom was literally like leaving out the door as I was walking in the door. She literally left about 3 or 4 minutes after I got home because she was like getting ready to head out the door because apparently there's this thing at the church that she wants to do. So I'm taking the opportunity to read a little more of a guardian angel, and then I'm just going to put this up as like one massive upload. So this is going to be super fun, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to make this like a 5 chapter upload or maybe a 6 chapter upload. We're going to do at least 2 chapters and then I'm going to decide. So, let us start off with, hang on. Chapter 20. Unexpected surprises. Fiona, have you put any thought into what you want for your prom dress? The dance is really soon, you know. I know. I just want something special, you know, the blonde said, laying on the couch, her feet hanging over the arm as her mom walked over, leaning over the back of the couch. When you don't know who's talking and you have to make up a voice. Well, maybe if we go out and see what's out there, you'll get an idea of what you want. Yeah, maybe, the blonde said, rolling off the couch. Well, what colors were you thinking about? Either white and blue or red and black. Let's go to the mall and see what they have, Ellen said, grabbing her purse and watching as Fiona slipped on her shoes as together they headed at the mall. So, Marshall, how have you been lately? The older man asked, sipping some tea as he sat at the table, watching as Marshall threw some strawberries on his plate before sitting down at his kitchen table. It's been kind of weird, Simon, he said, taking a bite of the red fruit. Like, things have been great, then my mom shows up and acts all kinds of motherly and vanishes out of nowhere. I just don't get it. I mean, why wouldn't she just say bye or stay or something, you know? Marshall said, picking at his food. Marshall, it sounds as if you were happy to see your mother, Simon said, removing the tea bag from his cup and resting it on the plate next to him as Marshall paused mid-chew. Swallowing, he sighed, looking up at the man sitting in front of him. To be honest, I was happy to see her. I mean, even though the last time I saw her we fought. She's still my mom, you know? I do, Marshall, I do. I think your mother is caring for you the only way she knows how. It's not how you want it to be, but I do think she's trying, Marshall. She did call me telling me about what happened this weekend. Apparently she shot Fiona's father. Yeah, with a tranquilizer gun. He's fine now, though. She said that she was very worried about you, Marshall. But why won't she tell me that? I just want to know that she cares, that she loves me and is proud of me. Why can't she do that? I just don't get it, the teen said angrily, holding his head in his hands. Everyone says that she loves me, Fiona's mom. You, Billy too, but I just don't see it, he said quietly. Marshall, I know you care, and I know this is important to you, and I know that of all things you just want your mother's approval, but you have it. It's just hard for you to see it right now. Everything you want, all of it is in your grasp. It's tough right now, but I know, but you have to hold on, Simon said softly, trying to think of a way to prove to the teen before him that his mother did indeed care. Suddenly an idea came to him. Your father still loves you, you know. Marshall looked at him weirdly. I know that. But how can you? Your father no longer walks on this earth. I just know that he loved me, and he still does. Exactly, even though you can't feel it, you know it's there, right? Yeah. Well, even though you can't see or feel your mother's love, it doesn't mean that she doesn't love you, Marshall. Marshall blinked and stared at Simon for the longest time, watching as the older man sat at the table, with his hands folded, occasionally sipping his tea. I I never thought of it that way. Just give her some time to find the right way, Marshall. I promise you'll feel what you want soon. She'll openly show her love soon. Okay, he said, nodding, having lost interest in his food. How about a change in subject, hmm? Sure, I'm taking Fee to prom in a few weeks. I don't even know what to do, you know. I know I'm supposed to buy the flower thing that goes on her hand, but are they like rules or something for all that stuff? From what I know and have seen, your suit's colors are supposed to match your dress, along with your boutonniere. What? You're supposed to buy her a corsage, and if you want, you can also get a bouquet of flowers. So, flowers and matching colors, huh? How do we get there? I know that people sometimes pitch in together for a limo, so if you're going with all of your friends, you could rent one. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Also, another thing, he said, catching Simon's eye before looking away and looking back again. Sure, Marshall, what is it? Well, there's dancing, and dancing like slow dancing. How do I do that? He asked, scratching his cheek in embarrassment and looking away from the older man. Almost immediately, Simon understood. You don't know how to slow dance? No. Oh, it's quite easy. My dear Betty was the one who taught me, but alas, she's been gone for quite some time now, although I do believe I will be able to show you myself, he said, standing and walking from the room. Marshall stared out the doorway, wondering just what the older man was up to, only to bust out laughing as he returned, with his jacket tied front ways around his waist looking like a dress. Simon, you're crazy awesome, Marshall said with a grin. Now, what was I doing again? Ah, yes, I was teaching you to dance, he said, rubbing his chin and finally walking over to where Marshall sat. Okay, now, stand up, you're going to have to lead, Simon said, watching as Marshall stood. Okay, what do I do now? Now we begin. Place your left hand on my girlish waist and take my left hand with your right, and now we just rock side to side with little steps. Is this really all there is to it? Uh, Yep, now spin me, darling, Simon said with a laugh, and as Marshall did as he was instructed. Very well done, Gunter, now dip me. Hearing this, Marshall paused, frowning. What? I said, well done, go on and dip me. Oh, all right then. I guess I just heard wrong. It happens, boy. It happens, dear boy. It happens. Perhaps I should be going, though. I do have another appointment in half an hour, Simon said, untying his jacket from his waist and putting it on. Okay then, I'll see you later, Simon. Of course you will, Marshall, at our usual 6 o'clock hour. Now Marshall knew something was up. No, I see you at 5:30 to 6:30. Are you okay, Simon? He asked. He watched as the older man blinked in confusion before shaking his head. Of course, just a momentary memory lapse, Marshall. Nothing more, just having a busy week is all, he said, patting Marshall's shoulder and walking from the house. Marshall waved from the doorway, and with a smile, Simon waved back and walked to his car. Getting inside it, once he pulled down the street, he sighed to himself, "It's getting worse." Wait, is he getting Alzheimer's? Are they incorporating like the whole Ice King thing where he goes crazy with the crown? And I just want to say I don't know a lot about Adventure Time. I know about it. I know some stuff. I just want to because we're at the end of a paragraph, I just wanted to stop for a second and let you guys know that I haven't watched very far into the show. Like I saw I Remember You, but for that I think it was like a one-off and not like I wasn't that far into the show and I just watched it because I don't know, someone mentioned it, I think. But I think I've only seen like maybe one or two seasons. Like I remember seeing a couple of the episodes with Marceline, like the first two episodes with Marceline, I think, and that's about how far I've gotten. But after the second episode with Marceline, which is like Marceline's Closet, I'm pretty sure. After Marceline's Closet, I don't think there was anything else. I think I ended it there, and I haven't seen anything past that. So, like, I'm not very far into the series at all. I did recently purchase the entire series. Um, I did recently purchase the entire series on DVD, like when I had all that money from the summer. Actually, I think it was when I got, hang on, let me switch to the camera instead of having it on the story page. Okay, well, I think when I got like you know when COVID was around and you got all that money from COVID, like you got back checks or whatever the heck they're called, like COVID checks. I'm just gonna call them COVID checks because that makes the most sense. You got those COVID checks, and I got like $600 several times, and I used that money to buy Steven Universe, the entire DVD collection, and Adventure Time, the entire DVD collection. Like I bought both Steven Universe and Adventure Time, the full series, and I also bought The Amazing World of Gumball, I'm pretty sure, the entire series of that too. Like I wanted to buy some of the series that I really enjoyed that I hadn't finished yet. So I bought Steven Universe and I bought Adventure Time and I bought The Amazing World of Gumball. I can't remember if I bought all the seasons of Gumball or just a few seasons. I think I bought the entire series. I don't 100% remember though. Anyway, I'm gonna be right back, but I wanted to just let you guys know that I don't know like everything about Adventure Time. So, first of all, no spoilers, please. Um and second of all, who the hell is Gunter? Please don't tell me. I don't want any spoilers because I don't obviously don't know who Gunter is. I don't know if he was in the show that I already saw the episode of and I just forgot, but I don't know. The name sounds kind of familiar, but I can't remember a damn thing about him, so I'm thinking maybe I didn't see him as a character. Anyway, I just wanted to pause there to let you guys know that, and I think I'm gonna just pause this here and be right back. Give me a second. Okay, I have so many videos recorded now, so just hang on and I'm gonna get back to it. Ooh, all these dresses are so beautiful, Ellen said, walking around the store. Fiona couldn't help but be overwhelmed, as some were long as well. Some were long, others short, some with bright, vibrant colors, and others with soft pastel colors. And with each store they visited, Fiona got more of a clear image in her head of what she wanted her dress to look like. She loved the powder blue dress they had first seen, but it had been far too short and poofy, resembling a tutu. That color was perfect. Another dress she'd seen was a white halter top, and that one had the shape and dress type Fiona was absolutely in love with, and a third was a bright yellow dress that had a sparkling sheer overlay. She wanted a halter top dress that powder blue color, with that pretty sheer sparkling material over it. Fiona, look at this one, Ellen said, pulling a dress from the rack. Turning, Fiona beamed. It was absolutely beautiful and had everything possible she could want in a dress. The color was right, it was a halter top, and even had that sparkling layer of fabric over the dress that she loved from the yellow dress. Seeing it, the blonde practically squealed. By no means was Fiona a girly girl, but she wanted to look pretty for Marshall. It's perfect, like so perfect. Is this normal being so excited about a dress? The blonde asked excitedly. Of course it is, sweetie, Ellen said, smiling as Fiona bounced happily around, holding the gown tightly. I'm going to call Marsh and let him know. The blonde said happily as she ran to try on the dress. It felt so weird to be happy and excited about something as so girly and oddly simple as your dress. Everything was new and shiny, and new and shiny. Dude, everything's so new, Marshall said, staring at all of the equipment Billy had dropped off. And shiny, the older man said with a smirk. There's everything you need here for a great head start in the music world. How'd you afford all this? I know for a fact that these microphones alone cost over $1,000, especially the system and connection cables and everything. Holy crap, where'd you get the money for these? He screeched, spotting two new guitars, a bass guitar, several drum pieces FP needed to be replaced, drumsticks, new chords, and a powerful amp that Marshall knew had to cost a fortune. There was an anonymous donation of $20,000. Believe me, kids, someone wants you guys to succeed. Besides all of this was roughly 8 grand, so there's about $4,000 left, so I put it in your bank account. Don't do anything stupid with it. Are you kidding me? Who has that kind of money to throw the heck around? The dark-haired teen asked, scrutinizing all of the equipment in his garage. Not everyone wants to watch the world burn, Marshall. Oh, and there's a van I bought with the money, too, so all of you guys can get your things there without your stuff flying out of the back of FP's truck. That accounts for the missing 8 grand, too. Billy, you are flippin' awesome! I know, Marshall, I'm just too good sometimes. The van will be at my place and everything here has been insured, so I'm out, kid. Hearing this, Marshall blinked and grinned. What, you have something better to do with than mess with all this stuff with me? Yeah, I do. I'm managing all of you, so I have manager-type business to attend to, he said, smirking at the teen and messing with his hair. I'll see you around. Yeah, Billy? Marshall? What do I do with all of this extra money? Marshall asked, looking around at all the new belongings and wondering just what to do with $4,000. Anything you want, Billy said with a wave as he walked from the house, shutting the door behind him as he exited the garage. Marshall simply sat there looking around at everything, feeling overwhelmed. With a shake of his head at his luck, Marshall walked into his house and flopped onto the couch, immediately regretting that choice. But seconds later, he was distracted by his phone ringing. It was a text from Fiona, and opening it, he found a picture of the blonde wearing an absolutely gorgeous dress. With a smile, Marshall called the blonde, who quickly picked up the phone. So, how do I look? Fiona was nervous as she stared at her reflection in the mirror. She loved the dress, and she wanted Marshall to love it too. You look absolutely beautiful, Fiona, Marshall said with a smile, hearing the worry in her voice. The look of delight on her face in the picture was clear to see, and he knew she'd found the dress she loved. You think so? The blonde asked, her spirits lifting greatly. I do. That dress looks amazing on you. Yeah? Yeah, what else are you going to have? I know that sometimes girls get gloves and shoes and sparkly things sometimes. I don't know yet. I mean, I'll probably wear flats, but I don't know about everything else. Let me know. I might want to get you something, okay? Hearing this, Fiona grinned. Yeah, Marsh, no problem. I'll let you know, okay? Oh, is there anything you want for our next performance, like a special mic or something? Why don't you surprise me? She said with a smile, wondering what was on her boyfriend's mind. Will do. I gotta go see Simon, but I'll talk to you later, okay? Okay, bye, Moshi. Bye, Fee. So, what's he think of it? Ellen asked, watching as Fiona burst out of the dressing room, beaming with the dress in her arms. He said I look absolutely beautiful and wants to know if I'm getting sparkly things to go with my dress. Do you think I should? Fiona asked, talking a mile a minute. Well, sweetie, from the sounds of it, he wants to get you something to go with the dress. So I'd advise against getting something shiny. You can get simple earrings or something like that. But don't go big and flashy. Okay, Mom, can we buy it now? I want to show Dad. Of course we can, sweetie. Journal entry number 69. Fiona showed me her prom dress today and she looks absolutely beautiful. I've just been having so much luck. My band actually got an anonymous donation of $20,000. I mean, dude, who has that much money to play around with? Needless to say, we're all epically thrilled with this. Prom's coming up, and now that I've been taught to dance by my more than helpful teacher, so props to you, Simon. I think I have everything I need to make this prom a success. So, unless anyone has any more tips for me, I think I'm good. Everything seems like it's finally coming together, and for the record, I am happy I got to see my mom. But enough said, I've got to go to class. I'll see you later, Simon. And for old time's sake, I think I'm going to scare the receptionist tonight. Mwahaha! Marshall. Okay, oh my god, I love that. Yay! Okay, I love that. I'm super happy with that ending. That was an awesome ending, and I'm gonna read a couple more chapters. I want to read at least one more chapter. Each chapter is like 15 minutes or sometimes 10 minutes. Like, some chapters are shorter than others, some chapters are longer than others. It just depends. But approximately each chapter is usually 10 to 15 minutes. Hold on, I'm just doing this stupid capture thing that they're making me do again because why the frig not? Okay, I think it worked. Hang on. Okay, it worked, and I will be right back with another. What the hell just happened? Okay, that was weird. I'll be right back with another chapter. I know this chapter was in two parts, and that's because I wanted to stop to tell you guys something. And Marshall's like sitting around wondering, hey, what the heck am I gonna do with $4,000? Well, I just like blew through my victim's compensation in like a few months. I should have thought ahead. I should have, you know what? Whatever. I'm glad I spent my, you know, like I'm glad what I spent my victim's compensation on. Like I got a ton of awesome stuff, but also I should have thought it through a little more. Oh well. I, you know, whatever. Oh well, doesn't matter. Too late now, and I love you guys, and I will see you. Oh, wait, I don't have to do the outro yet, do I? Okay, I'll be right back with another chapter. Bye. Okay, I'm back with the second chapter, and. Wait. Chapter 21 Prom Night 1, Take 1, a series of unfortunate events. Wait, what? Okay, I guess we're gonna find out. Marshall sat there looking at his tie, adjusting it in the mirror. It was lopsided and uneven, but not bad for a first attempt at tying a tie. This freaking blows. I can't wear this thing, he snapped, glaring at the not so good looking tie around his neck. Marshall, what's the problem? Looking over, he spotted Fiona's father. Since they were going to a prom first, Marshall had spent the night to save time. I can't get this thing right, he said, tugging at the tie around his neck. How do you do it? Hearing this, Steve blinked. Oh, well, I don't. Ellen does it for me. Dude, seriously? You can't tie a tie? Marshall said, snickering as Steve glowered at him. Shut up, you can't either. Marshall watched as he walked from the room he was in, and moments later Ellen entered, smiling at him. Don't mind my husband, he always had a sore spot about being completely unable to tie a tie, she said, stopping in front of the dark-haired teen, easily unknotting the tie and retying it perfectly. There you go. So, are you almost ready? Yeah, Marshall said, sitting on the couch as they walked into the living room. I got this for Fiona. Do you think she'll like it? The dark-haired teen asked, pulling a small long box from his pocket and opening it to show his girlfriend's mother. Ellen stared at the necklace inside and smiled at him. Marshall, I think she'll love it, and it matches her dress so perfectly, too. I'll go check on her. The limo should be arriving in the next 20 minutes or so. Okay, Marshall said, watching as Ellen ascended the stairs, making her way to Fiona's room. Ah, this blows. I can't wear this thing. Fiona snapped, her hair tangled in the glistening hairband her mom had gotten for her. Sweetie, you okay in there? Ellen asked through the door, and by some kind of motherly instinct she knew the girl needed help. So despite the lack of a response, she entered Fiona's room, finding her long hair a tangled mess. Mom, I can't do anything with this, she whined, pointing to the knot miserably before letting her head drop hard on the dresser with the vanity mirror after sitting in her desk chair she'd pulled over. Ellen smiled and immediately came to the blonde's rescue, gently removing the hairband as she began brushing out Fiona's tangled blonde locks. So, are you excited? Ellen asked as she brushed the blonde's hair back and positioned the hairband perfectly. Yeah, but I'm more annoyed from my hair, though, Fiona said softly, her fingers running along the sheer sparkling material underneath them. Baby, your hair is beautiful. Now I can tell something else is bothering you, so what's up? Hearing this, Fiona met her mom's eyes in the mirror. What if I make a fool of myself? What if I look stupid or Fiona, listen to me. You look absolutely beautiful, and I know for a fact that Marshall will think so too. If anything, I'd be more worried about him doing something stupid, like taking over the DJ stand or something, messing with people's pictures and the like, Ellen said, making Fiona laugh. Do you do you think he'll think I look pretty? Absolutely, sweetheart, absolutely, her mom said, smiling. And if you're worried because you were upset over your hair, don't worry, because that boy was just in a complete tizzy over his tie just 5 minutes ago. Ellen smiled as the blonde laughed again. Now, are you going to use any makeup? Just eyeliner and lip gloss. I mean, my nails are painted and so are my toes. This is me getting all dolled up. Now it was Ellen's turn to laugh. Don't I know it? Let me know when you're ready so we can take pictures. I'll go check for the limo, she said, looking at her watch. It'll be here in 10 minutes or so by now. Okay, I'll let you know, Mom, Fiona said, watching as her mom exited the room. Standing, she leaned towards the mirror and carefully applied the eyeliner and mascara, secretly nervous that she'd poke her eye out with the makeup weapons designed to be used so close to her eyes. She'd have to thank Marcy for showing her how to use them someday. Breathing a sigh of relief with both eyes evenly done, she easily put on the sheer lip gloss and looked at her reflection. Fiona had to admit her mom was right. She did look pretty. Looking around, she spotted her purse and put her school ID, the prom ticket, her phone, and wallet inside. Slipping on her flats, the blonde took a breath and opened her door, ready to face her family. So you do know that if any funny business goes on, we'll beat you up, right? Jake said, sitting next to Marshall, who sat lazily on the couch, having expected this from the two older men. Yeah, it'll be a tag team thing going on, and we'll hang you from your feet by the tree in the backyard from sunset to sunrise, Finn said, plopping down in the available seat next to Marshall. You both are disappointed that you couldn't give me this talk earlier, aren't you? Marshall asked, genuinely curious and almost sure of his thought. Yeah, man, this sucks, Finn said, pouting as his face rested on his fist. I know, right? Jake said, leaning back in his seat, his arms resting on the back of the sofa as he leaned his head back. So, you guys want me to go outside and ring the doorbell or something? We can pretend it's the first time we've met. Nah, the genuinity of the moment would be ruined with past good memories of hanging out with you. Hearing this, Marshall blinked. What? It wouldn't work, Finn said simply. We already like you, so it'd be weird to glare at you all angrily and stuff, the blonde said, pulling off his hat and scratching his scalp and letting out a satisfying sigh. Okay. Yeah, but we meant what we said, Jake said, simply turning to face the dark haired teen as Finn finished his sentence. Yep, any misdeeds with our sister and we'll hang you from the tree, he said, now facing Marshall as well. From sunset to sunrise, Jake continued. All night long, then you'd really be a vampire, Finn said, grinning at the thought. Yeah, we'd pelt you with garlic, too. Why in the world would you do that? Marshall asked. Why wouldn't we is the real question, Jake said with a grin, making Marshall smirk. Yeah, but we are serious. Deadly serious, Finn said, now wiggling his fingers at Marshall, making Jake stare in confusion. Bro, what are you doing? Showing him how serious I am, Finn said, continuing as Marshall raised an eyebrow at him. You look like a fool, man. Who's gonna feel your jazz hands? The darker male said, watching as his brother scowled at him. They're not jazz hands, Finn said in offense. My bad, your spirit fingers, Jake said, howling with laughter, as Finn whipped a pillow at him, nailing his brother right in the face. Almost immediately, a pillow fight broke out, one that Marshall leapt away from to avoid being a part of it. He watched as the two went at it, going around the room, and shook his head with a smirk. Those two were always so easy to rile up. Leaning against the far wall, Marshall's thoughts drifted to Fiona. He wondered what He wondered what she'd look like all dolled up, knowing that no matter how she looked, she'd be beautiful. As his thoughts continued drifting around the blonde, the sudden sound of her pained yelp caught his attention. As he quickly looked towards the door, spotting Jake holding the pillow behind his back, Finn's dropped to the floor, Ellen looking absolutely livid, and Fiona holding her face. The moment her blue eyes caught Marshall's, they filled fast with tears. "Nothing's going right at all," the blonde said softly, turning on her heel and hurrying up the stairs. Marshall was quick to follow, but the moment he reached the threshold from the living room to the hall, the sound of Fiona's door slamming shut was heard. "Do either of you know how long it took convincing her to actually come down these stairs all dressed up?" Ellen said, her voice growing louder at the two children of hers who had never really grown up. Not wanting to be caught in this misfortune, Marshall ducked out of the room and grabbed the corsage from the fridge, making his way up the stairs. This was just what she needed, a split lip, a pillow to the face she could take, her makeup ruined she could handle and fix, but now a swollen split lip when she was supposed to be pretty, after her mom taming her horribly tangled hair, making it take the shape of beauty with just a few run-throughs with the brush, after making sure her makeup was perfect, all of it was completely and utterly ruined with a pillow to the face. Fiona wanted to be pretty for Marshall, and it seemed that the world was completely against her doing so. More than anything, she wanted to tackle her brother and beat him into utter oblivion, but her frustration had reached its boiling point, and the fact that Marshall saw her take that pillow to the face after she tried so hard to be beautiful and crushed the self-esteem she had remaining. She didn't even know it was coming either. One moment she was walking over excitedly to the doorway, and the next she felt pain, and was quickly holding her face. Looking down, Fiona saw the blood from her lip, and looking back up, she saw the boys' shocked faces, and immediately felt that wave of embarrassment, her eyes filling with tears as she looked at Marshall. He looked handsome, he always did. His clothes were perfect, and not a hair was out of place. He was perfect, and was everything she wasn't. She just wanted a perfect day, just one perfect day, but it wasn't happening today. "Nothing's going right at all," the blonde said quickly, turning and rushing up the stairs, flinging her door shut, not caring that she slammed it. Fiona flopped down on her bed, trying so hard not to give in to the tears that were threatening to fall. After several moments, Fiona heard her door open and close quietly, and felt the bed sink down as Marshall sat beside her. She knew immediately who it was, even though he didn't make a sound. She could smell his body wash. She loved that smell. "Today doesn't seem to be going right at all, does it?" Marshall asked softly, laying down next to Fiona and gently moving her arm away from her face. "I just wanted to be pretty, but I'm not," she mumbled, looking away from the reddish-brown eyes that stared intently at her. "No, you're not pretty. You're beautiful. It's a huge difference," he said softly, tilting her face up so he could look at her. "And you're not the only person having a not so great day, babe. I woke up with a headache, feeling sick to my stomach. Then the flowers that I had for you at the florist were ruined. Then I almost got run over by some crazy woman and her kid in the corner store parking lot. After that, I had to get new dress shoes because I outgrew mine and didn't think to check them before I came here. And to top it all off, I almost strangled myself with my tie because I couldn't do it right," he said softly, brushing her bangs from her eyes. "That is a bad day," Fiona said quietly. "I know, but it doesn't have to be. I have you and this night to look forward to." "But I just wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to be perfect," she whispered. "You are, don't you see it? You're not a girl who dresses up. You're not a girl with hair that falls into place, or a girl that wears tons of makeup, and that's why I fell in love with you. I didn't want a Barbie doll, Fiona, and she lives in her own perfect little plastic world. I wanted you because you're real. You aren't afraid to get down and dirty, to get into fights, and God knows you can throw a punch. I love your hair, whether it's a mess or perfectly in place. I love your makeup, whether you wear it and it gets smudgy or whether you don't at all. But most of all, I love you and your split lip because that's what makes you real. And I wouldn't want anyone else because to me you are perfect," Marshall said as Fiona wrapped her arms around his neck. "I love you, Marshall." "I love you too, Fiona," he said with a smile, pulling the blonde close and kissing her forehead. "Now, are we going to prom? Now, are we going to go to prom or be sad little mopey people and stay in the house? It's your prom. I wouldn't mind skipping it if it were mine, but these are your friends. You still want to go, don't you?" Fiona pushed herself upright. "I do still want to go." "Good. Now, I can give you this, and you can do whatever you have to do to get ready," he said, pulling the jewelry box, he said, pulling out the jewelry box and handing it to the blonde, and at his gesture she opened it, revealing a beautiful silver necklace with a sparkling blue sapphire in the middle of it. If anything, this should turn your night around, he said, standing and giving the blonde a swift kiss. Now get ready so I can see your grand entrance, okay? The dark-haired teen said with a grin and a wink as he walked from her room. Fiona smiled as he shut the door, and walking over to a mirror, she put the necklace on and smiled. She felt perfect. Picking up the brush, she easily tamed her hair once again, putting the hairband back in its place, and reaching over, she grabbed a baby wipe and washed the smudged makeup from her face and easily reapplied it. She looked at her lip. It was a bit swollen, but not by much. It was hardly noticeable, and after once again applying lip gloss, Fiona smiled into the mirror. She was beautiful, she was perfect, and glob blob it, she was going to prom. Opening the door, she was ready for whatever else the night had in store for her. Okay, I will be back with prom night part 2, apparently. Okay, another chapter. Prom night part 2. Chapter 22, Prom Night Part 1, Take 2. Fiona, I love you, I really do, Marshall said, his head resting on the table. He could feel his nerves slowly grinding into dust. But if I hear this song one more time, I'm taking over the DJ stand. I know, I'm sorry, the blonde said, also feeling the grip on her temper slowly slipping as the song continued on. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. I've never been so close to death in my life, Fee. I've never been so close to death in my life, Fee, Marshall said, groaning. It's hard to look right at you, baby, but here's my number, so get in the van, a voice said, making Fiona jump as Marshall turned to laugh. What the heck are you two doing here? He said, turning and spotting Ash and FP. Come on, dude. You know I can crash anywhere if I put my mind to it, the red-haired teen said with a grin. We brought the instruments in case you wanted to take over the DJ stand or something. They're in my truck. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the DJ stand, and the nerve-grinding music was brought to a screeching halt. What are you doing? The DJ yelled as the group of girls, thoroughly enjoying the song for the 5th time in a row, stared on in shock. Get out of here! Hearing the familiar voice, Fiona turned towards the commotion and grinned, spotting a girl with a black and red corseted dress with long black hair. She grabbed the microphone and grinned. Hey, y'all, how about some real music? The dark-haired girl said as she began strumming her ever-present double-sided axe bass. Is this Marceline? Looks like Marceline beat you guys to it. Um, Fiona said with a grin. La da 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 da, I'm gonna bury you in the ground. La da 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 da, I'm gonna bury you with my sound. I'm gonna drink the red from your pretty pink face. I'm gonna. Marceline, you can't just take over the DJ stand. That's completely distasteful, a long haired girl in a pink dress said, rushing up to the stage. Who's Pinky? Marshall asked, watching as the two began talking, though not so quietly. That's Bonnabelle. She's an assistant teacher. She's our age, but graduated 3 years ago. She's that smart, Fiona said, watching the altercation, Marceline not backing down. She and Marcy had a falling out a few years ago when she left. Now they can barely stand each other. Who's that hot chick? She looks familiar, Ash said, watching as the dark-haired girl spoke. Oh, you don't like that? She asked in an almost teasing voice to Bonnabelle. Or do you just not like me? Just from that glance, Marshall could tell that there was some kind of history between the two girls. Marceline sent her a scathing glare and began playing her bass loudly, making the pink girl jump. Sorry I don't treat you like a goddess. Is that what you want me to do? She sang, leaning close, still strumming. Sorry I don't treat you like you're perfect, like all your little loyal subjects do, she said, flicking the poofy material of the strawberry blonde's dress, making her back up with a scowl. Sorry I'm not made of sugar, and I'm not sweet enough for you. Is that why you always avoid me? That must be such an inconvenience to you. Well, now she jumped off the stage, landing with surprising grace in her heels, as she continued playing and singing as she walked towards the bubblegum-colored girl. I'm just your problem. I'm just your problem. It's like I'm not even a person. Am I? I'm just your problem, she sang, drawing close to the other girl. Well, I shouldn't have to justify what I do. I shouldn't have to prove anything to you. I'm sorry that I exist. I didn't plan to be on your, I didn't plan to be on your blacklist. But I shouldn't have to be the one that makes up with you. So why do I want to? Why do I want to? They all watched as the dark haired girl grew flustered. What are you looking at? You messed me up. Oh crap, this is gonna blow up, Fiona said, seeing the looks on the two girls' faces and hurrying from her seat before turning to face the boys. Do something musical, she said, hurrying over to get in between the two girls. Either way, this was going to turn out badly, while Marceline had no problem fighting with her fists. Bubblegum, as Fiona called her, fought with words. Either way, they'd tear each other to shreds. Quickly, Marshall and the two boys hurried to the stage. There wasn't enough time to get their equipment, but luckily there were instruments for the talent show set up still, and not caring, FP began pushing the set of drums farther up the stage while Ash began plugging in amps and cords to get power to the guitar and mics. Guys, what are we gonna do? We don't have a singer, drummer, and bassist. There's no guitar, Marshall said, looking around trying to find something playable. Yo, Marsh, didn't your mom make you take those violin classes? Ash asked, still flipping switches. Yeah, for 4 years. Why? Looking over, the black-haired teen spotted his friend holding up a violin case. What the crap do you expect me to do with that? Marsh, we don't have time. There's gonna be a total cat fight. If you can play it, use it, FP said, as he grabbed the curtains and began running with them, revealing the setup to the teenagers who had now all stopped to watch as the two girls were verbally tearing each other to shreds. Fiona in the middle, trying to keep them a distance apart from each other. Marshall looked at the violin in complete distaste. If he had to, he would. For Fiona. What are we playing? He shouted, watching as he now grabbed the other curtain. As he now grabbed the other curtain and ran in the other direction with it. Pipe song! Suddenly it hit him. That was the song he and FP had come up with to convince his mother that having him play the violin to learn classy music just wouldn't work. Staring hesitantly at the violin in his hands, he sighed, hoping that he was still good enough. um, Hoping that he was still good enough at it to not completely butcher the song. Ash, you ready? Marshall asked, setting the microphone on the stand in front of him and quickly tuning the violin. Let's go! FP? He asked, watching as the redhead ran over. Start it before they do! With that, Marshall started singing, watching as FP grabbed the available bass and began playing. Will you look back when you're old and gray and think those dumb kids had a lot to say? Well, we were trying to make this night one you remember, he sang, watching as the large majority of the crowd turned to face them, including the two fighting girls. Fiona was trying to keep separate. I don't care if my wheels don't turn, I don't care if my pipe don't burn, as long as I'm flowing through your veins after I'm gone away. Quickly, all three began playing at a fast pace, catching everyone off guard with a slow start. Marshall was surprised he could still play as well as he was. It saved our souls for us to see what we wrote down was meant to be, something someone could hold on to and maybe sing along and maybe pull you through. Look back when you're old and gray and think those dumb kids had a lot to say. Well, we were trying to make this night one you remember. I don't care if my wheels don't turn. I don't care if my pipe don't burn, as long as I'm flowing through your veins after I'm gone away. Marshall held his breath and began playing the violin solo, surprised that he was doing so well. He grinned at the blonde who watched in amazement. I still look for you when we play your song. I hope you'll hear and you'll sing along. But it doesn't seem to have the same effect now, he said, playing the violin in a sad tune. You'll just look back with an empty stare, try to love you, but there's nothing there. Try to keep your memory flowing through my veins after you've gone away. Marshall let out a sigh as he played, the familiar movements coming to him as he played. It looked like 4 years of work wouldn't soon be forgotten. I will play the smallest violin. Let it be loud enough to get over you and all your friends. I will sing these words to make it true, through and through, so you know how much I hate you. I will play the smallest violin. Let it be loud enough to get over you and all your friends. I will sing these words, through and through, so you know how much I hate you. Look back when you're old and gray and think these dumb kids had a lot to say. Well, we were trying to make this night one you remember. I don't care if my wheels don't turn. I don't care if my pipe don't burn. As long as I'm flowing through your veins after I'm gone away. Fiona couldn't help but stare as she watched them play, especially Marshall. She didn't know he could play the violin, too. The music slowly faded out as the crowd exploded, clapping and cheering wildly. Eager to keep their attention away from the fight that had now been all but forgotten, FP ran up and grabbed the microphone. Thank you, we're Marshall Lee and the Scream Kings, the redhead said, doing his best to keep them entertained. I'm the bassist FP. Back on drums is Ash, he said, pointing to the teen in back who applied to his name with a mini solo that had the crowd clapping once again. And on mainly guitar, but for right now, violin is Marshall Lee, our main vocalist, he said as Marshall waved, keeping his eye on Fiona, Marceline, and the girl with the bubblegum colored dress. He watched as the black haired girl went to take a swing and grabbed the microphone from FP. We can't forget the amazing music stylings of the lovely Marceline, can we? Fiona, want to bring her up here? He asked, quickly watching as the blonde was pulling her friend up to the stage, the latter still trying to fight the other girl. Marcy, let's go, Fiona said, literally dragging the girl up the steps until they both crash landed on the stage. Fee, what the crap? The girl asked, pushing herself up into a sitting position. I'm sorry, Marcy, but they want to hear you sing, Fiona said, as Marceline looked around at the students who were eagerly waiting for the next song. Wow, tough enough, she said, standing and pulling Fiona up before turning to face Marshall and the band. Walking behind the curtain, she returned with a guitar, which Marshall gladly accepted before picking up Ronak's bass and facing them. Fiona, can you play anything? Sleigh bells, the blonde said with a thumbs up as Marceline shook her head with a smirk. You can sing back up. Marcy, what are we singing? Fiona asked, looking to the boys, who looked just as confused. The punk-looking girl sighed, grin, making eye contact with each of them before looking back at Fiona. I'm gonna wing it. I suggest you guys do the same. Turning with all the confidence in the world, Marceline began to play her bass and started to sing. According to you. Marshall quickly picked up a rhythm, realizing that Marceline really did want them to wing it. I'm stupid, I'm useless, I can't do anything right. According to you. Ash quickly followed Marshall's footsteps, picking up a rhythm, while FP shadowed Marceline's notes. I'm difficult, hard to please, forever changing my mind. Following their lead, FP2 began playing along. I'm a mess in a dress, can't show up on time, even if it would save my life. According to you, according to you, but according to him, I'm beautiful, incredible, he can't get me out of his head. According to him, I'm funny, irresistible, everything he ever wanted. Everything is opposite, and I don't feel like stopping it, so baby, tell me what I got to lose. He's into me for everything I'm not, according to you. According to you, I'm boring, I'm moody, and you can't take me anyplace. According to you, I suck at telling jokes, 'cause I always give it away. I'm the girl with the worst attention span. You're the boy who puts up with that. According to you, according to you. Knowing what was coming up next, Fiona began singing the chorus with Marceline. But according to him, I'm beautiful, incredible, he can't get me out of his head. According to him, I'm funny, irresistible, everything he ever wanted. Everything is opposite and I don't feel like stopping it. So baby, tell me what I got to lose. He's into me for everything I'm not, according to you. I need to feel appreciated, like I'm not hated. Oh no, why can't you see me through his eyes? It's too bad you're making me decide. Looking back, Marceline gave Marshall a flick of the head, wiggling her bass a bit and realizing she wanted him to play more. Marshall began playing his heart out. But according to me, hearing her sing, Marshall ended his solo. You're stupid, you're useless, you can't do anything right. Now the rest of the band began playing, and once again Fiona sang along. But according to him, I'm beautiful, incredible, he can't get me out of his head. According to him, I'm funny, irresistible, and everything he ever wanted. Everything is opposite, I don't feel like stopping it. Babe, I'll tell you what you've got to lose. He's into me for everything I'm not, according to you. You, according to you, according to you. I'm stupid, I'm useless, I can't do anything right. Once again, the students burst into applause, cheering and clapping loudly. But while the impromptu band took their bows, a loud scream was heard. Unacceptable! Detention! Detention, all of you! 3 days detention! Hmm. Ah, crap, Marceline said, dropping the microphone and grabbing Fiona's hand and running. Marshall, I'll see you in 5. Meet us outside, Fiona said as the dark-haired girl dragged her along and off the stage. Marsh, we gotta go, I know that voice, FP said, jumping up. But before they could get off the stage, a sickly-looking man appeared in front of them. Detention! 3 days detention, he screeched, pointing at Marshall, who was closest. Dude, relax, he said, trying to calm the older man, who only continued yelling. 1 week detention! I don't even go here! 5 years! 5 years detention! He can't do that, FP said, looking on in confusion as Ash shrugged. Dude, I don't go here! 1 million years dungeon! Did you just say dungeon? Get out! Marshall and the guy shared a look before walking off the stage. So who's that? Old man Lemon grabbed. That guy's senile and weird as hell. Was he always yellow? Marshall asked, looking back in concern. Yeah, it's some nutrient deficiency or something, FP said with a shrug as they made their way from the school building. Guys, that was totally rad, a voice said the moment they exited the building. Marsh, that was so much fun. Looking to the right, they spotted Marceline and Fiona. Apparently, I'm in detention for 1 million years, Marshall said with a grin as the two girls laughed. Well, better you than me. I'd actually like to graduate, Marceline said with a shrug. So I hear that there's a pretty sweet after party a few blocks from here. Anyone want to come? Heck yes, I am so in, Ash said quickly as FP agreed. I'm at where the party's at. What about you guys? Marceline asked, turning to face Fiona and Marshall. Nah, I'm not feeling up to it tonight. I'm kind of tired. You can go if you want to, Marsh. I'll leave you alone. Not a chance, he said, taking the blonde's hand. Well, I guess that's that. Later, dudes, FP said as the trio began heading towards the next party. Bye, Fiona. Next time we'll rock out even harder. It'll be magical, Marceline said, turning as she walked to leave. Later, Marcy. Sorry we had to leave the prom early. I know you didn't want to leave yet, Marshall said as Fiona watched them walk away. It's okay. I had a wonderful time. But, Marshall asked, looking curiously at the blonde. I just wish we could have had a slow song, Fiona said as she began walking. Marshall grabbed her hand and pulled Fiona close, keeping her hand in his and placing the other on her waist. I can make that happen, you know, he said with a smile, pulling her close as they began dancing down the sidewalk. With a smile, Fiona rested her head on Marshall's shoulder and listened as he began to sing softly. I don't know the tune, so I'm just gonna say this. You deserve someone who listens to you, hears every word, and knows what to do. When you're feeling hopeless and lost and confused, I'm the somebody out there who will, he said with a smile as Fiona looked up at him, grinning as they continued swaying down the sidewalk. You need a man who holds you for hours, makes your friends jealous when he brings you flowers, and laughs when he says they don't have love like ours. I'm the somebody out there who will. There was somebody out there who was looking for you. Knew someday I'd find you. I swear that it's true. I'm gonna kiss you, and you'll feel the words stand still. I'm the somebody out there who will, he sang, continuing to waltz them down the street, pausing only to give the blonde a kiss before continuing. I'll take you dancing and pull you in close, spin you around and won't let you go, till they turn the lights off and I'll take you home. I'm the somebody out there who will. Fiona practically glowed when he spun her under the moonlight, her dress sparkling in the dim lighting as he continued dancing them towards their destination. There was somebody out there who was looking for you. Knew someday I'd find you. I swear that it's true. I'm gonna kiss you and you'll feel the world stand still. It took a fraction of a second for Marshall to notice something was wrong. It was the way her face changed. She'd been smiling, glowing with happiness, and in a fraction of a second her eyes widened. Her smile fell, and everything went black. The last thing he registered was the blonde screaming his name. What? Uh-oh. Okay. Something just happened. Uh-oh. Okay, well, now you know what we gotta do. We gotta read another chapter. Oh my god. Okay, hang on a second. I'll be right back with another chapter. We gotta read another. Okay, we have to read another chapter because I want to know what happens next. Holy crap. Okay. Hang on. Chapter 22.5. Do not mess with little sister. Journal entry Journal entry number 89, traveling version, because of course you've given me homework, Simon. When you've been around someone for long periods of time, you can catch on to little things you never noticed before. The way they scrunch their nose when they're angry, or the way her lips quirk when she's thinking and absent-mindedly petting her cat. There are a lot of things you can pick up on when you've just been with someone for long amounts of time. It was her eyes. It's always Fiona's eyes. Her eyes let me know before I could even sense it that something was wrong. The way her beautiful blue eyes The way her beautiful blue eyes widened and her pupils contracted, the way her lips parted and her body tensed, it all screamed utter peril before I knew what was coming. The last thing I remember before waking up was the pain in my head. It was like an explosion of pain happened, and the next thing I knew I was waking up. Even now, as I'm looking at her sleep, I feel like an absolute failure as not only her boyfriend, but her protector. I was supposed to be keeping her safe, and I completely failed at that. I need to work harder to be the protector she deserves. Marshall Lee Abadir, 1:47 a.m. They had been dancing. Marshall was singing, and Fiona was lost completely in the moment. Looking into Marshall's eyes, the blonde could see that every word he sang was sincere, and he meant it from the very depths of his heart. She just happened to glance over. Something caught her eye, and it was just a flash. A tiny flicker of movement. Fiona didn't even have time to scream before he'd gotten belted in the back of his head with that bottle. Watching Marshall drop to the ground made the blonde scream at the top of her lungs. Marshall! She didn't even get the chance to see if he was okay, for moments later, she was slammed against the side of the building, feeling her head hit the bricks hard as something cold and sharp rested against her neck. Don't make a sound. Don't even look at me. Look at the ground, the man said as her eyes quickly looked downwards. The only distinctive thing she saw was that he was wearing a dark colored hoodie. She couldn't even be sure of the color in this light. Give me your money now! Hearing this, Fiona paled. The only money she had was for the pictures that they took when they got to prom, and she'd given it to the photographers. I don't have any money, she said quietly, so quietly that she could even barely hear herself. You either have a death wish or you're just really dumb, Blondie. Now give me your damn money. I don't have Fiona was cut off with a hard slap to her face. Now she was mad. The majority of her day had been a complete and utter disaster. She'd been beaten in the face by her brother, made herself look pretty only to have her makeup and hair wrecked and be given a split lip. It did turn around when she had a wonderful time with Marshall after Marceline had completely overtaken the DJ stand. And now this. This person really just wanted to crash her night? Really, after it had gotten so much better? Now the blonde was many things. She was brave, smart, foolhardy was definitely on the list, and for the most part fearless. But it seemed that where Marshall was involved, she allowed her fears to overwhelm her because she knew that by some gut instinct he would save her. But now he needed her. Looking over, she watched as he was beginning to stir, and turning her gaze from Marshall on the ground, she glared into the eyes of the man who hurt him. It was nobody she knew or even recognized. For that matter, the instant their eyes connected, she was slapped hard once again. The hell did I tell you about looking at me? He asked. Hit me one more time, Fiona said angrily in a low voice, her eyes trained on the blade in his hand. It wasn't in his dominant hand, that was for sure. The way he held it was awkward. You have something to say to me? He asked, now much too close for her comfort. You think you're bad? That you'll kick my ass? Come on, girl, what did you say to me? If you hit me one more time, Fiona growled, only to be cut off as the man grabbed her by her throat, slamming her back against the wall again. Quickly she brought her arm up and brought her elbow down on the man's arm that held her captive. Immediately her throat was released from his grasp. From his grip, much to her relief, and quickly acting, she grabbed his arm and ducked behind him, bending it awkwardly and kicking him forward, watched as he hit the wall hard, his knife flying from his hand. Fiona quickly made her way over to Marshall, watching as he slowly pushed himself up, one hand rubbing his head as he winced, glowering when he noticed the blood on his hands. Marshall, are you okay? Fiona asked, not knowing what to do for him, but knowing that they had to get out of here. I'm not feeling so hot, Fee, Marshall said, standing and leaning against the building, immediately sitting down. Everything was so dizzy and moving in and out of focus, and he felt sick to his stomach. Fiona knelt in front of him, looking nervously around. How's your head? I've got one killer. Fiona, look out! Before Fiona could move, she was snatched and lifted from Marshall's reach on the ground by an incredibly strong force. At the same time, Marshall was kicked hard, hitting the wall again. Fiona fought to free herself, but couldn't. His strength was incredible, and she could barely breathe, feeling the pressure on her ribs, especially had the girl near tears. Did you really think you could play this game and get away? He asked, squeezing Fiona tighter as she began to feel lightheaded, and doing the only thing she could think of, the blonde scream at the top of her lungs. Oh, come on. You really are a pansy, and you're the big brother? Finn said, laughing as they walked away from the house. Dude, I know she's your friend, but that girl is scary as hell, and her dad's no better, Jake said, flipping up his hoodie and shoving his hands in his pockets. Marceline is not that bad, and she's only a year younger than me. You're just scared of her because she threatened to bite you, the blonde said flatly. I'm telling you, that chick's a vampire, Jake said, as they walked away from the direction of the large mansion-type house belonging to the punk rock queen. Yeah, whatever. It's lame that she went to prom. I wanted to hang with her. PB too, that would have been nice. Finn said with a sigh. Those are the perks of adulthood, man. Just gotta accept the blows they deal you, Jake said wisely. Yeah, but still, Finn said with a pout. They continued walking, and the sound of an echoing shriek caught their attention. We checking that out, man? The blonde asked, looking over at his brother, who now had a serious face on. You betcha. It's adventure time, Finn said, tugging his hat down before the two took off, heading towards the scream. It took the two almost 5 minutes until they were sure that they'd reached the area where the scream had originated. Slowly they walked, keeping their eyes open for anything out of the ordinary, when the piercing scream caught their attention from several buildings ahead, before it was quickly silenced. Though muffled sounds could still be heard, the two quickly hurried towards the sound, and Finn slid to a stop, spotting Marshall. Dude, he looks like crap, the blonde said, looking around. Almost immediately, they understood the gravity of the situation. If Marshall was here, then the one who'd screamed was Fiona. You help him, I've got this, Jake said, picking up the knife from the ground and immediately recognizing it. Finn was reluctant, but had no choice but to obey as Jake ran down the street, scanning any possible place that he could have gone with his sister. Finally, he spotted them slip through a door in an alley 3 blocks down. Fiona had struggled and kicked, panicking when he'd covered her mouth, silencing her as she was dragged away from Marshall. Just as they slipped into the alley, she saw two figures come to a halt near Marshall. Were they friends of this guy? What was happening to him? What was going to happen to her? More than ever, she struggled, feeling lightheaded and panicky as fear began overwhelming her, especially when he pulled a door open. Fiona began kicking, screaming, and struggling that much harder, so much that her shoe had flown off. The blonde watched as the door shut behind them, and the moment they were cut off from the outside world, she was slammed against the wall again. Fiona clawing at his hand as he practically smothered the girl as his other hand snatched the silver necklace from her neck before pocketing it and began squeezing her throat tightly. Black spots began blooming in her vision, and Fiona knew she was going to pass out and anything could happen to her then, especially if no one could find her. The sound of the door creaking open and slamming shut barely registered to the blonde. A person racing towards them caught her eye. Again, she couldn't make out who it was. It was just too dark, but much to her surprise, the figure struck the man, holding her, practically bowling him over, and catching her and holding her steady all at once. Fiona was trembling, coughing violently, and taking in much needed and welcomed air. Knowing of her past experiences, Jake felt nothing but fury that this man had even put his hands on her. You got a lot of nerve coming between me and my girl, the man said, eyeing the tall man in front of him who now had his prize. Big D. The man's face immediately registered surprise as Jake began to speak. You've got some, as Jake continued to speak, you got some nerve to even show your sorry ass on my turf, he growled, holding his baby sister tightly. Jake, they said they were gone, that the blood pack. Well, I'm right here, he said quickly, his voice portraying his anger. So tell me, along with being on my turf, what the hell were you doing with my little sister? Jake, Marshall, is he okay? Fiona asked quietly, holding tightly to his hoodie. Finn's with him. I think he'll be fine, Jake said, palming her head gently. Baby sis? Yeah, Fiona asked as his hand went from the top of her head to covering her hands gently, releasing his hoodie from her grasp. Did he hit you? Yeah. Did he hurt you? Fiona simply nodded. That's all I need to know. I want you to leave and wait right under that streetlight out there so I can see you, and Finn can too. Go do that right now, he said softly, nudging her in the opposite direction. Though she wanted nothing more than to just cling to someone safe, the tone of voice he'd used meant business, and Fiona knew it. Pausing, she took a step back and looked towards the door, leading to the mouth of the alley before back to her brother. Go on, I'll be out there in a minute, he said, urging her on softly, watching as she walked and stood at the door looking very unsure. He took the necklace Marshall gave me, she said softly, her throat hurting from screaming as much as she had. Fiona was unsure her brother had even heard her, but much to her relief, he nodded. I'll get it back. Now go wait outside with Finn. Nodding, Fiona opened the door, closing it behind her, and spotting her shoe, she put it on, hurrying towards the safety of the light. Finally, Jake turned to face the man before him, who was backing up as the taller man approached. Jake, man, I swear, I didn't know she was your sister. Shut up. Pigs like you make me sick, he said, glaring at him, brandishing the knife as he approached. Fiona stood under the light, listening as the man who grabbed her screamed, sounding absolutely terrified. The blonde didn't want to even imagine what was going on in there. She watched as the shape of two figures approached, one supporting the other, and quickly she rushed over. Finn, is Marshall okay? He'll be fine. I feel like I was hit in the head with a bat, the dark-haired teen groaned. Dude, a bottle's just as bad, Finn said as they stopped under the light. It took Fiona only a moment to realize that it had all grown silent. Mere moments later, Jake walked from the alley, blood splattered on the front of his orange sweatshirt. Finn looked shocked. Dude, you said you were done with all this crap, Finn said, taking a look at his brother. I am. I'm just making a statement for everyone else to know not to mess with my family, he said darkly. How's his head? It's just a cut. He'll be fine, though he should probably stay awake for a few hours, just in case he has a concussion, Finn said softly. Marshall? Fiona asked softly, as her brother held him up. I'll be fine, Fee. I'm sorry I was so useless, he said softly. No, you weren't. That guy snuck up on us when your back was turned because he was too much of a sissy to fight us without trying to give himself an unfair advantage, Fiona said, tried to make him feel better. How about we just don't tell my mom what happened? She'll kill me, Marshall said, still leaning on Finn, who held him up. Yeah, buddy, no problem, Jake said, as they walked back towards the house. Mom and Dad are out too, so we'll have time to get everything cleaned up. Here's your necklace, Fiona, Jake said with a smile, handing the blonde the silver chain with the blue gem heart on it. The chain's broken, Fiona said softly, feeling absolutely devastated and looking at it too. Don't worry, my friend Marcy is really good with jewelry. She can have that fixed in no time flat, Finn said, nudging his sister and trying to make her feel better, though feeling like it wasn't working. This is really pretty. When did you get it? Finn asked, hoping to lighten the mood. I got it tonight, and now it's broken, Fiona said miserably. They made it to the house in a few minutes, and with Finn's help, Marshall made it into the bathroom after assuring the blonde that he was okay enough to be alone. Pulling off his vest, tie, and shirt, Marshall stuck his head under the faucet, turning the water on and wincing as the cold water rushed over his throbbing head. He watched as the water tinted pink as he slowly massaged his head, feeling for the cut until finally he found it. It was small, and much to his relief, it had stopped bleeding. He was lucky. A hit like that could have put him in the hospital. Once the water ran clear, he dried his head and walked into the family room, where his backpack was passing Finn and Jake on the way. Don't forget, you can't go to sleep, Jake called after him, and only raising his head in acknowledgement, Marshall descended the stairs, changing into sweatpants and a tank top. How are you feeling? I have the worst headache ever, but aside from that, I'm pretty good. You? He asked, peering at her. Her makeup was gone, and her hair was pulled up and out of her face, her bags covering one of her eyes, and dressed in shorts and a big t-shirt, even though she was beautiful. I'm okay. My throat hurts a bit, but I'm fine, she said, snuggling up next to him. I know you aren't allowed to sleep just in case, so I'm going to try and stay awake with you, okay? Okay, Marshall said, with a smile, knowing that she was only minutes away from sleep herself. He turned on the TV and began watching a nature show on vampire bats, and by the first commercial she was out like a light. With a sigh, Marshall reached over and picked up his notebook and began writing. He knew Simon would want to know about this. Okay, we're done with the prom, and we're done with that insane shit. So I think I need to be done for the night. I recorded like 6 chapters, 7 chapters. I think it was 7 chapters. I recorded at least 6 chapters. I think it was 7. I think it was 3 earlier and 4 now. Yes. Maybe. Okay. Anyway, I love each and every one of you guys. Please don't forget to always be yourself. My goodness, so many recordings. Please don't forget to always be yourself. You are valid, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.